screw-it screws. In the previous videos you've seen how the jig works and a few other things. Over the last few years there's been people ringing us up and asking us a lot more questions. So this one's all about the little hints and tricks of using this pocket hole jig. Now you've probably already purchased the jig. If you haven't, you'll see it probably in other videos. The first thing you need to do is, when you look at your jig, is to make sure that you've got all your parts. So you need to make sure you've got your drill guides, your clamp, your L bracket, the other attachments, your drill and your driver. They're the most important parts that you need to actually get going. The first thing you need to do is to make sure that you get your drill and your collet all set up properly. Now to put under here you need, you need to place something like a 10-cent coin under here and then lock this in. Now the reason we put the 10-cent coin under here is so we don't finish up drilling through our base of our jig. A few people have done that, so we've got to be aware of that. Now because we're going up and down here into steel, lots of people have said to me it feels a little bit stiff, or sometimes when it's new it's a little bit tight. Now if you're going to use a lubricant, make sure you use a lubricant that has no oil in it. This one is an easy slide. It's for zips and all types of roller doors, things like that, where you don't need oil. You can use wax, candle wax, but it's just a case of putting a little bit of a spray down there, and that reduces the friction of the drill going in and out. Now the other thing you need to do is you've got your adjustment here at the front. So you grab your first piece of timber. Most people normally start with the 19mm thick timber. Adjust this in. Now, there's a little ring here, you've got to wind that out. So it's nice and firm. Now you've got a nut here to pull in nice and tight. Just do that up with the spanner. Don't over tighten it, just enough to hold against there. And then you've got that thickness clamped in against the guides so the timber doesn't move. The other thing is your guides on our jig here can move from side to side. So what I always do is I work out that the width of your timber here, I keep it around about 5mm in from either side, so you're not right on the edge. Then you clamp this knob up really tight so it's not going to move. Put your timber back in here and you clamp it in and it's nice and secure. Now with your drill, place your drill in here, tighten it up, make sure you've got it on the setting number 2, so you're going the fastest the drill will go. Make sure it's not set up on a hammer or anything, and then you can actually start drilling. And that creates your little pockets in your timber. Now the next question people always ask me, what size screws do I need to use for what timber? Now there's a whole lot of charts and all those sorts of things that you can use to try to work this out, but the easiest way is, once you've set your jig up, you've got it all ready to go, is to grab the two most common pieces of timber, which is the 19mm and the 35mm timber. They're the most common types. What you do then is you place them in the jig And what will you do when you're doing the 35mm? You actually drill into the back hole. So you're actually drilling into these back holes. Now the back hole will go from 30mm to 40mm in the jig. So thicknesses of thicker timber you need to drill in the back. For the 12mm to about 25mm, so you're doing the normal type timbers, you use the first two holes here. Using the first two holes here, you're able to use it for 12mm to 25mm thick. What I always do is grab two pieces around about that size and I drill along the edge of the timber. So I have all the different size screws that you can use. Then I put down each size of the screw that will actually go in here. That's on the thin one. And I do exactly the same with the thicker one. Now people say, why is there two holes? What it does is it actually adjusts the angle. If you have a look on the thinner material, it's on an angle like that. If you have a look for the thicker material, it moves the angle over a bit more. Now, by putting the sizes on here, then if I'm actually going to use this piece of wood here, and I'm going to put it into this piece of wood here, I can sit it on the top here and see what size screw I need to use. So in this case here, I'd probably use the 37s. Now if I was going to screw a thick piece like that into a thin piece, I'd put the thin piece here, and as you can see there, I'd probably use a 31 for that one. Naturally, you might be going the other way. So you're going from a thin piece into a thin piece. So that's a 31. Or I might be going from a thin piece into a thick piece. And in this case here, I'm probably looking at the 37. All right, I want to do some work outside. I can't fit a 3-metre length of timber in here. So what happens is that these drill guides will come out of here and they fit into a little L bracket. So it's just a matter of setting your bracket up. Now just before you tighten this one here, you make sure you put your timber on here and you make sure that you're at the right width that you want to be on your timber, and then you do that one in nice and tight. And that sits on here, put your clamp on here to hold it, and then you can take this outside and use this on any thickness timber, just by drilling in like that. And that's the little L brackets you get in with the kit. Alright, there's a few other little tricks too. Some people say to me, I've got to fix a piece of furniture, how do I fix it with this? Well, you can't really fix it with this. The best way to do it is to take one of the little drill guides, get one of the little drill guides out, and if you've got a piece of wood here that's actually come away from a leg of a table, you can actually put that on here, clamp that on there, and you can actually drill in here, which will give you the little pocket, and you're able to screw your rail back onto your leg of your table to fix it. So you can actually break it down just and use it like that, which is really ideal too. Now, people say to me, what type of screws will I use? Well, the most common screw that we have is the round washer head, because it sits into this little pocket that we made with the pocket hole jig, and then the screw needs to bite into the next piece of timber. On the actual screw, there's actual little teeth marks, and those little teeth marks actually pre-drill into your timber and drive in, and it pulls the two pieces of timber together really strong. Now the other one is the number 17 point, which is mainly for hardwood, and the Astra is mainly for softwood, but you still can use, you can either way. Now the difference is that with the number 17.1, the thread has a high-low thread to reduce the splitting in hardwood, and in the softwood the thread's a lot more vicious, so it actually pulls it together a lot stronger. Alright, and then another thing that's really important too is that when you're putting a material together, that you really should have a clamp that has a really flat base to it. So when you're actually putting it together, the screw will actually make it rise a little bit. So you don't want it to rise, so by using the clamp, that will reduce it from rising. Now you don't need a really heavy drill, you only need a light drill to actually screw the screws in. You don't want to over screw them. Now people say, what do I do about this? I don't want to see, some people don't want to see the actual plug hole. What you can actually do is get the little plugs that we have, we get them from Queensland, they're Australian timbers. Put a little bit of glue on it. All you have to do is push it in, naturally wipe off the glue, then sand it down. And then you've got a nice covered joint, so you don't have to see it. You can stain it, paint it, or whatever you want to do over the top of it. The other thing is that in the instructions, on the back page here, we have all the other videos that we have on YouTube. So if you have missed out on something, you can actually go and have a look at our other videos. Now thank you very much. I hope all these little handy hints will help you out, but don't forget you can still ring us if you have any other problems in any way.